So, Mono Red is an archetype that we mostly haven't seen in Historic. Other aggressive decks like Gruul, and then there's like Red, White, Burn have been around the fringes and a little bit more popular. But this most recent printing gave us Atarka's Command. And Atarka's Command is really powerful in these aggressive decks because it's basically 3 or more damage for just 2 mana. So like the floor is Lightning Strike your opponent, but the ceiling is, you know, you have 3 or 4 creatures in play that all get +1/+1, so you deal 3 to your opponent, plus pump your board up, and you know, for 2 mana you get in 5, 6, 7 points of damage, which is a pretty good exchange. You can also, you know, give yourself favorable trades inside of combat, which is nice. Works well with Burning-Tree Emissary and other cheap cards that flood the board. We've got just good red cards like Bonecrusher and Embercleave and Anax. We're mostly red except for commands in the main, and Klothys and Cindervines in the board. We technically only have 12 green sources, but Burning-Tree Emissary is like a green source, especially for these sideboard cards where you want to play them early. Atarka's Command is a card you usually don't want to play till like turn 4 or 5 a lot of the time until you flooded the board a little bit, so not having green until a little bit later isn't the end all be all in a deck like this. So let's go ahead and dive on into some games with this and see how red aggro feels this morning with the tiny green splash. Lou Mason, thank you for the 19 months. Welcome back. Appreciate you dropping off the Prime again. This is one of those decks where it's like, well, this is technically Gruul, but it's also, when you say Gruul in Historic, this isn't the deck that you think of, right? This is pretty far from the base green Land War Elves style Gruul. Right, Yuzo, are they going to betray us, chat? Sure, no 1-drop, but like BTE into Robber is basically like having a 1-drop. Yeah, I hope they round out all the playsets of lands that we're missing half of in this format. That would be great. Alright, so if I attack with this turn, I'm getting a trigger, right? They have 6 cards in hand and I only have 5, so we'll play this out. I don't think we're gonna live to get to cast I don't think this is gonna live to get to cast that one, chat. Like I'm psychic. Hey, Spike Dev, thanks for playing. Make sure you take a look at the rules document for the tournament tomorrow. And make sure that you understand how to... Make sure you're in the Discord server and make sure you understand how to share your screen in there if we ask you to. Sodded, thank you for the 20 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. I'm going to play a little bit off the beaten path, Jeskai here with Blood Summon, Let Us Feel. Played a little bit something similar to that yesterday on stream. This does notably turn off our Ramunap Ruins, which is a little scary. A little annoying. Them getting 5 new cards is scary. The gods are very angry today, chat. I don't think I want to trade these 2 cards to a random, so I guess this just goes away. Bonecrusher Giant. So nice, we'll draw it twice. Yes, the open tournament is tomorrow, 10 a.m. Central, so it's about 26 hours from now for people that are bad at time zones. This time tomorrow, +2.
This isn't a fight. Let's skip to the good part.
So nice, shall we draw it thrice? Yeah, the untapped overlay is a really big upgrade from Cardboard Live. It'll be interesting to see if Cardboard Live... It'll be interesting to see if Cardboard Live ends up improving, or if they just let their product die. They're very, like, looking at somebody who's used Cardboard Live, comparing it to this one, it's definitely clear that, like, CBL had been phoning it in. Alright, so bringing in our heavier hitters here. Honestly, this might just be an Atarka's Command out matchup. They're going to be hitting our board pretty handily. Yeah, Tuesday or Wednesday, Ryushi. I'm planning to do 3 to 4 decks today, and then 3 to 4 decks on Monday. And 3 to 4 every day next week. Need one more trim here. Maybe it's a Bonecrusher out. You get swept away by Sweltering Suns and stuff. We're bringing in other 3s and 4s, so drag the curve down a touch. Yeah, the last tournament was on a Saturday. I try and do my best to kind of flip back and forth between Saturdays and Sundays, so that way people who have commitments on particular weekend days can get a chance to play. If there's a particular day next week, Tuesday or later, you'd like to lock it in to guarantee it, Ryushi, I can do that too. Abrade kills the Gear Hulk. Is that not worth it? Do you think I'm the control deck in this matchup? Do you think I'm being reactive and trying to... interact with them? Or do you think I'm the proactive beatdown deck? So... I'm going to go ahead and just attack with this and then play Anax out here. Because that way we'll get 2 tokens if they sweep the board next turn. Perfect. I like to give people the flexibility to try and catch their deck live. JK, LOL. It's fine. I've got a bunch of haste creatures to follow up with here, so... So, you'll note that I boarded in something like Cindervines in this matchup, and that can kill Torrential Gear Hulk. And the key difference between a card like Cindervines coming in here and a card like Abrade coming in here is a card like Cindervines in a matchup like this. It does damage to my opponent when it's not doing its primary thing. Whereas a card like Abrade only serves one purpose, and that is to be reactive. And that comes down to that kind of role assessment of where do I think I'm supposed to be in a matchup like this? I think I'm supposed to be the beatdown. I want to play cards that are more proactive on average. Valentin, thanks for the follow. Welcome to the channel. That probably ends the game, right? I think we're dead here. Pretty solid thrashing here, perhaps seeing... Okay. Alright, so you're saying there's a chance. Speaking of Cindervines. Opponent is at 17 still, but I've got... I'm really glad this card isn't popular. I think constructed formats... And actually, this was one of the things that actually put me off of Modern a little bit. And why we may or may not dip back in with Horizons 2 is free spells make formats a lot less interesting, in my opinion. They remove a specific dynamic of play and counterplay and allowing you to sequence in a way to encourage people to tap out. They remove an element of the game that tends to be very skillful, in my opinion, which is how sequencing can encourage your opponent to make certain types of decisions. Yeah, and they're printing 5 more free spells into Modern. It really feels like they're just making Modern into Legacy Light. They're like acknowledging they don't want to reprint reserve list cards, and they're just turning the format into a Legacy adjacent format. This is, we had played some red aggro like this before Atarka's Command was printed, and it was pretty whelmed by it. Lightning Helix in particular, really tough for an archetype like this to keep up with. You know your red aggro deck's in a good spot when you're using the land ramp mode on Atarka's Command. It's for the follow Firecraft MTG. If we draw Hazoret, we might still be in this game. Or if this manages to live and we draw an Embercleave, kind of does damage. I mean, what you're saying is just objectively false, Springsbug. With non-rotating formats, they keep accruing better cards until they're legacy adjacent. Let's explain why it's wrong. So, this legacy adjacentness that's being introduced to Modern, and again, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but it's very forced. They're forcing it by adding cards to the set that increase the power level a great deal by introducing these cards explicitly through a set that's not standard. So saying that all non-rotating formats that generally only accrue cards through standard legality automatically approach legacy power level and that's a natural progression for them is just not true. There are a lot of cards in Legacy that are power levels and designs that, typically speaking, will never be printed into standard formats again. It's explicitly this nature of we're expressly printing things directly to here to push the power level is why that's happening. And that's different than it happening organically, because organically that's not the progression that happens. I'm not dead yet. I don't think we have any draws that kill them next turn, so I assume we're dead next turn. We're not dead this turn, but maybe there's a draw off of their deck that lets us kill the Crackling Drake. So close. So close, chat. It's impressive considering how many lands we drew this game. How reactive I want to be here. Earthshaker Khenra seems pretty bad against their Pillar of Flame deck. Bonecrusher seems kind of whatever. It's a little slow and I'm bringing in some other expensive cards. Thanks for the follows, Blink. Actually, I'm only going to board in 2 relics here. 4 pieces of graveyard hit on the play is probably fine. We will board in the 3rd relic on the draw. Seems pretty good. We have to go Champion into Burning-Tree Champion Relic. I mean, that's because the recent powerful standard sets are, like, objectively awful. The recent super powerful standard sets created a power dynamic across all of Magic that caused the game to change on a fundamental level and caused a lot of people to leave or take breaks. The big problem with the push and standard power level was you couldn't escape the cards that they printed anywhere. Like normally if a standard set was bad, you could like go play Modern or Legacy or something else, but like, you know, Okos and Uros rippled out across every format in Magic. That was no longer an option. Dogmom looks pretty good here. It was funny, it's since you're here, press a pick. I actually turned on Runeterra's having some kind of European tournament or something today with countries over in Europe, and I decided to flip on their coverage to see what decks were like. And it was some wild, like, 6-7 deck format or something strange like that. And like, seeing how other games run their competitive formats, it really makes me appreciate how Magic's competitive formats are always pretty straightforward. Like, especially considering like Runeterra is a digital game where they can rebalance cards. The fact that they have to like make up these weird, wacky formats for their competitive stuff to make the format look varied is real strange. It feels like they should just have like a digestible format that's easy to understand that then, you know, translates well to the ladder. It really makes me appreciate like I know Standard had issues over the last couple of years, but in general Magic's formats are like pretty reasonable considering all they can do is ban cards. Want this last relic? I don't even know if relic's good. Having to hold up a mana to exile phoenixes seems bleh. I don't even know if this is worthwhile here. I mean, like, that's not even a Runeterra thing either, right? Like, Hearthstone's very guilty of It just seems like a digital card game thing. Like Hearthstone creates like weird 3 and 5 deck formats that you can't actually play in their client for their tournaments. Yeah, I get Snipery. It just makes it not consumable and undigestible, though. And the fact that you can't bring those things back to the client is a big miss, in my opinion. The reason I think that's part of going back to the talking about, well, they're doing that because it's like League of Legends, is I think they're kind of missing out on a fundamental part of card games from the design perspective. Is a game like League of Legends or Valorant or Counter-Strike, these are esports where you want to encourage people to want to watch your esport because it's flashy and interesting to watch. Whereas card games like Magic and Runeterra and Hearthstone, these games, as far as a spectator event goes, are largely engaged by people who want to play the game, not watch the game. So when you have your spectator event be this format that's disconnected from what people can actually play, it hurts people's interest in terms of wanting to watch your event. Like, if I'm someone that wants to like find decks to play, but the decks you're playing in this weird twisted format don't translate to what I want to play, why do I want to watch it? I think that's something that we saw with part of the reason why the MPL was a miss overall was in part because, you know, they were trying to pitch this as a, you should want to watch these people play, not a, these are sweet things you could be doing or these are formats you should be playing at home. They were trying to capture an audience that ultimately wasn't there for card games. Hey, howdy how. Thanks for the 16 months. Welcome back. Yeah, it makes Magic, and this is something that, to give Magic credit where credit is due, Magic's done well for a long time, and this is one of the reasons why, like, Wizards got a lot of flack about disbanding the MPL, but I really hope Wizards can get back to this organic competitive environment where, you know, everybody can compete and play. Because Magic in its one deck format is way more accessible than any of these other digital card games. And then I always have people pipe up, they're like, but Jeff, buying one deck on Arena is more expensive than buying 2 or 3 decks on other cheaper games with better economies. And it's like, well, while that's true, when I talk about it being expensive or difficult to get into a format, I'm not just talking about money. You know, most of us are adults with families and jobs and lots of other things going on. There's a real time investment cost to making multi-deck formats work, right? That makes it inaccessible to people who don't eat, sleep, and breathe your game. Like expecting a person with a 40-hour-a-week job to like care about a tournament that they have to, you know, play 4 or 5 different decks in and play them well and know the ins and outs of. That's just not realistic. Feeling pretty dead here. Yeah, Arena had the 2-deck best of one invitational weird thing early on. And it was I'm glad that experiment passed. I'm glad that was a miss. Sorry, when you refer to one deck, you're referring to formats, right? No, I'm drawing a comparison between Magic and games like Hearthstone and Runeterra and Mythgard, where if you're not familiar with other digital card games, their competitive formats frequently require players to bring multiple decks to play a tournament. So they do what's called a pick ban format, where every competitor brings 3 decks, and then you ban one of your opponent's deck, and then you play games with the remaining 2. And then there's certain rules depending on the game that dictate what cards can and can't be used the same between the 3 different decks that you're bringing. And some of them go even as far as to make it like you bring 5 decks or 7 decks. They can't overlap in certain ways depending on what the rules of the tournament structure are. It gets really, really far off of what the ladder system is for the games. No, yeah, these other games. Think of it, honestly, a good way to think of it, Mello, is think of it like playing a team Magic tournament where one player is the entire team and you play your matches out separate between the different types of things. Is a good way to think about it. Because the way the multi-deck formats work, it's basically like you're both playing 3 different things. There's been 9 deck tournaments in Hearthstone, 1 for each class. Yeah, wild. I think we just do this rather than stomp them, so I can maybe set up an Atarka's command for next turn finally. We will not be doing blue-white steel today. If you want to peek at that deck, I built it and I put a tentative picture in the deck queue. I will probably get to that late Monday or Tuesday, I believe. Yes, every time we've drawn Embercleave so far in this set, it has been bad. There's an accurate summation of what has occurred. Alright, I think we just cash this in as a deal 5. Normally deck submissions get turned around in a day or 2 tops, but with the open this weekend and having more submissions because of the recent set release, it's a little bit slower of a turnaround. Hopefully they play their Flash Idiot. Yeah, and they try and block, and then a Atarka's command here is going to get him. And we've got a Stomp plus a Runes here. So even if they deal with these, we might be in an okay spot. Hey, welcome back, Blades Queen. Historic is a great format to get back into. Lot of great sweet things to do if you enjoy Magic's non-rotating formats. Okay, so Relic and Klothys definitely coming in here. How interactive do I want to be post-board is a question. Dog Mom is a card that is good if it can get into play, but it's also 4 mana. I guess there's a chance they board down on things like Memory Lapse post-board against my deck that plays to the board. Anax is an individually weaker card. I'm not sure the Anax is in keep the Hazards, I think. I'm boarding a couple of Braids, a little bit more interaction here. We are one of the more varied historic streams on that's out there. It's fine. It'd be nice if this was untapped, but it is what it is. My kingdom for a Copperline Gorge chip. Nailed it. Yeah, big save, Mellow. When standard rotation happens in the fall, we will go back to doing a mix of standard and historic. But until that time, we're gonna focus on what's fun. And even once we add standard back in, like, it's not gonna be an all or none type thing. We're definitely gonna do a mix of the two. Yeah, me too, Blades. I'm really looking forward to, there's a lot of people that have been poo-pooing Pioneer in general, but I'm looking forward to Pioneer getting on this platform eventually too, honestly. Variety is the spice of life, and I'm really looking forward to having 3 different formats to be able to flip between on my client of choice. Hey, thanks, Drax. I appreciate it. Good to have you around. Alright, so I think since they did that, we just go ahead and jam the Klothys here to kind of demand a counterspell. Any plans for MH2? Yes, my June subscriber survey is going to have a question on it asking if subs are interested in seeing MH2 content. So I'm just gonna do it purely based on what sub survey feedback looks like. Atarka's command cannot put double face lands into play now. So if you're someone that feels strongly about wanting to see some modern content on the channel, if you're someone that feels strongly about not wanting to see modern content on the channel and sticking to just Arena, be sure you fill out that survey when I send it out next month. Embercleave's been kind of poop. I think I just want more creatures. What's the next best red 1-drop in this format? Is there one? Is it Soulscar Mage? Like, I guess it probably is. I don't really have that many instants and sorceries though, right? I have like Bonecrusher and Atarka's command. No joke, it might be Hall Monitor. It could be Fanatical Firebrand too. I don't hate this card. This card, like, killing Land War Elves and being a little bit of reach after. Let's give us the Lizard. We could play a third Hazoret as another piece of top end. This card, like, really messes up the decks that kill you. This hurts, but I'm gonna click the button. I think I want a third Hazoret. In the Jeskai format, Hazoret really seems like the best piece of top end. Is it a Jeskai control format? I mean, Jeskai control is the best control deck in the format. And it is one of half a dozen popular-ish tier 1 decks that represent, 5 to 10% of the format in any given tournament. Brad Nelson said Black Aggro is the best deck in Historic. Yeah, I'd believe that. That deck's very good. Opponent's got a little Marduki on their game board here. Probably want to clean that up. Why not try Lavamancer? Because our deck doesn't have spells in it, chat. Grim Lavamancer is not a card that's good when you're not filling your graveyard up. Oh look, they're helping get my hand empty for Dog Mom. What's up, Hot Dog MTG had a sub gift that I almost missed, by the way. Thanks for that, appreciate it. Alright, 6 damage, 2 mana. I'm too lazy to Google chat or just got control decks playing Helix. Yeah, Helix and Memory Lapse were the 2 big upgrades that pushed Jeskai up over the top. If you go to my website, Pokemon Nerd, you can see an example of a deck. I don't really know what our opponent's doing. They played like Mardu stuff and they interacted with us a little bit. I think I hedge on the side of them being a control deck and we like board in a couple of Klothys, but I don't think I really want to do more than that until I see what they're doing. Maybe we just like trim Robber of the Rich because we're going to be on the draw this game. Card's a little bit worse on the draw. I'll bring in like a Chandra too. Memory Lapse has allowed the Jeskai control decks to go into garbage time a lot sooner because their planeswalkers get more turns with Memory Lapse. Yeah, they had white Bolt lands in their deck, so they could be something mid-range. They could be Shadow too. They could be a Croxa deck that's just playing a bunch of Bolt lands for Death Shadow. Hand's pretty good. 1 drop, 1 drop, 1 drop, 3 drop. I swear up to 20% of the value of Lapse is getting the opponents to miss their land drops enter 3. Definitely press spec. Tormenting Voice. They some kind of Reanimator shell? It might be an Elishnorn deck. Which means this Klothys is going to look super big brain if they're a Reanimator deck. Honestly, the big thing Memory Lapse highlighted to me is how important the clause on what's it called? The Aether Gust is about letting the opponent put the card on the bottom instead of the top. Well, Ojutai's command should almost always have 2 legal targets, right? Is it, that's pretty good. We just do that? I think we just do that, right? They haven't put anything interesting in here yet. Hey, Crimson, thanks for the 25 months. Welcome back. Got him. And I think we're just all in at this point. I'm gonna go ahead and, like, BTE stomp their face. Reanimate would be a fine card in Historic right now, right? No, not at all. Turn 2 Hellish Norn is not okay. Turn 2 Jin-Gitax, this is not okay. No! Klothys! Losing Klothys means if they find a sweeper next turn, we can die. Okay, I think we're supposed to wait to play this. That they have Languish or something here that's bad for us. Yeah, the Modern Horizons 2 non-legendary card could probably be okay. The list of non-legendary things you could put into play in Historic isn't that scary, and I think it's mostly fine on turn 2. Yeah, persist. Put a non-legendary card, creature from your graveyard onto the battlefield with a -1/-1 counter. I think that one would probably be fine. I don't even know if that's better than playing Burial Raids, to be honest. Faithless Looting is what you're missing, Luke. Stitcher Supplier is what you're missing. You're right, we don't have explicitly exactly Entomb, but that's far from the only card that enables silly things on turn 2. Yep, Kira means just guy control with no Gear Hulk. Typhoon is such a dumb card. Hopefully we get to Skullcrack a Helix here, he says before getting memory lapsed. Got him. Got him, chat. Cards like Path to Exile, Counterspell, and Lightning Bolt are all cards that should stay far away from Historic.
If you show remorse, we need to move quickly.
We need to move quickly. What's weird about my opponent's deck, Luke? Absolutely every card they've played is stock in Jeskai Control, for point of reference. They have not played a single atypical card. We stole Magma Opus. I guess that's a little atypical for the non-Gear Hulk builds, but there's also a lot of variation in those, so I don't know that I'd count that. It's pretty stock in the Gear Hulk build. All right, and again, you know, like, this is just a good showing of, I think if we get thrashed in this matchup again, I'm gonna go ahead and be done with this set. I think there's a good chance this style of deck just isn't competitive as long as the opponent's archetype exists. That's been your experience as well? Yeah. Yeah, the addition of Lightning Helix pushes aggro decks in this format away from small edges aggro, like what this deck is, where you like nickel and dime them and every point counts, and it pushes you more in the direction of you need to grow people and you need to win by a mile with Embercleave. Oji's command is not bugged. I had Ancient Ziggurat as a mana source. God bless.
I'm not ready for you quite yet.
Untapped land actually be a decent pickup with Earthshaker here. We could kill Teferi with it. If we get untapped lands here, we're in a good spot. Well, not good, but, you know, passable. The Hall Monitor. He's here, chat. Helix me again so I can concede.
Be focused and disciplined. Keep an open mind.
Hey, that'll do too. I kind of want to see how my permanent base sideboard cards do here. If they feel like they give us a chance or not. It's Cindervines and Roiling Vortex and Klothys. Game 3 is a stunning level of optimism. Our hands pretty good though. Morning, Penguin. The old turn 1 shock myself against the red deck to brainstorm. You can tell the Jeskai deck's messed up because we're probably going to still lose even though that happened. Larry on my wayward son. Do 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 do. Oh, they're playing Mizzix Mastery. Let's keep with Opus. Brainstorm 2, the Electric Boogaloo. Look at that, chat. Robber the Rich cleared their Brainstorm. Please concede. Rats, they have a Clarion chat. I've been loving the Dragonstorm deck. Sweet. I've had a couple other people tell me they've played it and it's felt reasonable. I hope it shows up in our event tomorrow. Ooh. So you're saying there's a chance. Yeah, a lot of them don't play Clarion because Clarion's not very good alongside Lightning Helix. You can only play so many copies of Deal 3s. 6, you're going to 2. They could go like land double Helix next turn. And then probably still be dead. Double Helix, the Helix this, go to 8. Go to 6, get attacked for 3. That was our game on the play. So we'll see how things go when we're on the draw. Okay. 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 So you're telling me there's a chance, chat. Oh man. Oh golly, we're not even gonna get Lightning Helix this turn, just memory lapsed? Oh yeah, lapse me, daddy. I'll be forgetful for you. Oh no! Oh no, it's gonna be a turn 3 Wrath of God, chat. Oh no. Oh, they have Mizzix Mastery? Okay. So they're gonna go murder 1. I guess they can go murder this? Yeah, probably murder this, right? I agree that this is also not great for a hero. Well, they notably don't have red mana yet. Could be our saving grace. They can't cast Lightning Helixes anytime soon. Mom's home. And memory lapse in this instance doesn't even matter, because next turn I go land Dogmom Fervent Champion. Alright, confirmed not saw it coming. Hazoret, I choose you! Thunk. Could be a Doomscar. They found red mana. Man, is this the best red top end right now? Hey Hazards, I'm conceding because my opponent's 1258 for record. They're dead to the Hazoret activation. So we beat the turn 3 Magma Opus there because our opponent didn't have red mana. Alright, we beat Jeskai control champ. Is 3 Hazarets the truth, the light, and the word? Why am I so nice to Jeskai control? Because if that person wins the match after that, maybe they'll stop laddering, and then that's one less Jeskai person on the ladder. Also, every time you concede to a Jeskai control player, you help inflate their win rate. I'm all about doing things that might incidentally result in that archetype being poked at. What's going on, chaps, man? Thanks for the quarter of a year. Welcome back. Does your rank still matter? I thought the MPL was gone. Your rank matters for, there's still Mythic Championships. There's still tournaments you can play in. The tournaments don't connect to anything. They're just individual standalone tournaments. So 21 months, J-Wall. Well, the MPL technically still exists, but it also, like, you can't join it as a new person anymore. It's a lame duck MPL, yeah, exactly that. Commit can answer Hazoret. Commit's a temporary solution to a permanent dog mom problem. So they can eat one of my things with this 2-3, but Earthshaker are gonna rock their worlds here. Yeah, best answer is like Skyclave, and even like Skyclave answering Hazoret like isn't terrible, because like when you get a 4-4 back out of Skyclave, it's like not bad for your aggro deck in most situations. Yeah, we hit land next turn, we can swing with Dog Mom. Helix is a really good card, chat. And trade an Earthshaker for 3 points of damage here. Eventually, we could potentially hit enough lands to eternalize this. Morning, Joe. And everybody. Great to see almost 1,000 people in here already. It's always hard to know what viewer count's gonna look like on the weekends, so I don't usually stream on the weekends. We've died, shit. I woke up early because I thought the open was today. Sorry, Precipic. Yeah, I try and rotate Saturdays and Sundays. So that way, lots of different people can play. Yeah, it's like an outside holiday though. No, thanks for the sub gift. Good morning, good morning. They're playing like red-white. They're probably like a more aggressively slanted red-white mid-range deck. Honestly, this might just be a click submit matchup on the play. How's this deck feel so far? Pretty mediocre. Small edges aggro doesn't seem to be particularly good in this format. There's so many lightning helixes. Yeah, I think we have like 60 people signed up last I checked. You can sign up until like the hour before the tournament. Usually we don't hit. We cap at 256 technically, but usually we have like 100 to 150. Where are we at? 59 people signed up currently. Thanks for the 7 months, Diggity. Honestly, I think I just do this and attack this turn now. Get a second card under Bomat. Nah, Arena just doesn't use... Arena doesn't use the entirety of your internet line. And it feels like we're just like brick-walled already, right? It's the same start they had last game. Fragment Inspector's really good against us. I guess we Kari Zev and like hope to draw a land next turn so we can like play a 1-drop and a Atarka's command. But they're probably gonna add more to the board on their turn as well, right? You're shocked the Hooglandia events are not higher. I'm actually very surprised we get the number of players that we do, if I'm being completely honest, because like for a point of reference, like there's the Insight Esports people that they've been hosting like tournaments with $5,000 in cash prizes and like $1,000 in prizes, and their tournament signups are very comparable to ours, or just slightly better. So like, you gotta ultimately remember, chat, people, tournament magic is just not super popular. Yeah, our tournament's closer to like a big F&M than anything. Okay, if we draw an untapped land next turn, we could like do thing, and then sack the Bomat Courier to draw 2, and we might have a chance at that point. We get a dog bomb underneath it. Ooh. Ooh. Do I want these 2 cards, or do I want a Legion's Landing? Definitely these 2 cards, right? Mash a Rock, thanks for the follow. Welcome to the channel. Alright, there's a Hazoret. We have lands for her already, so... Beep, beep. That's true too. Our tournament having the extra requirement of making people screen share on Discord. No, they're killing our thing, Lambton. So there's not going to be a landing post combat. All right, and now they have a 5/6, so Hazoret can no longer attack. I guess Hazoret activating to discard cards might still drag us across the finish line, but a little sus. Okay. Okay. Hey, Count Infinity. Thanks for the 52 months. Welcome back. Good morning, good morning. Okay, so we might see the ever-elusive Hazoret on defense here, because she is indestructible when blocking as well. Because they can't afford to just sit here and stare at us. I think they need to like put a counter here and attack us with these 2, so they can start pushing damage. Yeah. Really? Yeah, I think we're just throwing stuff as well. I agree. It's like the race to a lightning helix here, basically. Hey, Distraction, thanks for the 10 months. Welcome back. Okay, yep, they found a Skyclave Apparition, right? So that's probably the game. They found Helix into Apparition. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and be done with this. I think I am gonna post this one to YouTube because we had a couple of good games in there, and I feel like I learned something meaningful from this set, and other people will gain value from learning it as well. And that is just like, as long as Lightning Helix is a defining card in this format, this type of small creature, small edges, red aggro just isn't likely to be competitive. You just get buried by a card like Helix. It's just everything your opponents want to be doing against you. In order for even Gruul has been struggling, the bigger Gruul deck that has like Embercleave and thicker threats in it. In some of the recent tournaments I've been looking at, they're smaller tournaments, but it's not particularly inspiring time to be an aggressive deck in this format in general. Jeskai being at the top end is really putting pressure on these decks in order to make them not really be competitive. Another slightly bigger shell we could play Hazoret in? Yeah, possibly. I've seen Hazoret, you can play Hazoret in like red-white mid-range, and it's like fine there, but I agree that like in this type of shell where you're trying to be low to the ground, it's just not quite good enough. If you're playing aggro, disruption is needed. Yeah, you gotta play like the mono black aggro, for example, where you have all the discard spells, or like the Mardu Arcanus deck we're gonna play later today is like aggressive-ish, but also like runs them down. Yeah, Adanto's okay. The discard spell specifically can let you like take cards like Lapse and Helix that normally tempo you out of the game. And so it's such a weird dynamic that the control decks in this format tempo tempo people out of the games. That's not usually how that works. I don't think main deck Frost or Vortex really solve any of your problems because, one, with Vortex, you can't afford to hold up the activation, and two, you can't afford to hold up the activation, and two, they have so many other pieces of removal that they could just, like, take those things off the table anyways before they helix you on average.